Welcome back, everyone. Today's deep dive is going to be fascinating, I think. AI or Die, The Fate of L&D. That's the book. And the title, I mean, wow, it really grabs you, right? So we're going to kind of unpack how AI is going to change the whole learning and development scene, which is something that I think everyone's dealing with right now, whether you're, trying to get ahead at work or just trying to keep up with things or, just a lifelong learner like me. So AI, how can it help us learn new stuff faster, remember more of it, and maybe even, land that dream job?
Well, the book makes the case that the way we used to do L&D is basically over.
Oh, wow.
And if we want to survive, we have to adapt, and AI is the way to do it.
So it's not like AI is going to, take over and humans are out of the picture.
No, the book is really pushing this idea of like augmented intelligence.
Okay.
Where AI and human expertise, they kind of work together.
Gotcha. So like AI becomes this powerful new tool that we can use.
Yeah. Exactly. And you need these tools because the way we work is changing so quickly that a ton of people are going to have to learn completely new skills.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the World Economic Forum predicts that by 2025, 50% of all employees will need to reskill.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a huge change. And it means basically all of us are going to need to adapt.
So how does AI help us do that?
Well, think of AI as like Netflix for learning.
Okay.
Like Netflix gives you recommendations for movies you might like based on what you've watched before.
Right.
Well, AI does the same thing, but for learning content.
Interesting.
So it recommends things that are going to be specifically helpful for you and what you want to do.
So like no more of those one-size-fits-all training programs.
Right, exactly. AI lets you personalize learning on a scale we've never seen before.
Oh, wow.
It can figure out what skills you have, where you need to improve, and then recommend exactly the content that will help you.
That's incredible.
There's this really interesting example in the book about a company that had to quickly train thousands of employees to work remotely during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And they were able to do it using AI.
That's a great example of how AI can help businesses adjust to change.
Yeah.
Be more flexible. Be more resilient.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but let's dig into some of the specifics here.
Sure.
You mentioned that AI can identify skill gaps.
Right.
Can you give us an example?
Well, the book talks about this platform from IBM called Skills Build.
Okay.
It analyzes your skills and recommends areas where you could improve. So let's say you're interested in getting into data analytics.
Right.
Skills Build can look at your skills, compare them to what data analytics jobs require, and then suggest courses or, learning paths to help you get there.
Okay, so instead of like aimlessly searching through tons of courses, you get personalized recommendations for what will actually help you reach your career goals.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. But I think something we all struggle with is remembering what we learn.
Yeah. Like you cram for a test or presentation, and then a week later, it's all gone.
Yeah. That's the forgetting curve.
It's
It's a real problem. But the book talks about how AI can help us beat it.
Okay.
How? It mentions this technique called spaced repetition.
Space repetition.
Yeah. Basically, you review stuff at longer and longer intervals.
Okay.
So instead of trying to learn everything at once, you spread it out over time.
Right.
And the cool part is AI can actually figure out the best times for you to review based on how well you're learning.
So it adapts to me.
Exactly. It's like having your own custom study plan. And studies show that it really works. The book says you can remember up to 90% of what you learn even after 3 months using this technique.
90%. Wow.
Yeah, no more late night cramming.
That sounds great.
The point is that AI can help you learn better and faster. No more guessing what to study. It helps you focus on what really matters.
So it's not just learning faster, it's like learning smarter.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I like that. And it's not just technical skills either, right?
No.
I mean, the book talks about AI helping us develop what it calls fusion skills.
Right. These are the skills that are going to be super important as AI gets more advanced.
Give me some examples.
We're talking things like, adaptability, collaboration, emotional intelligence, critical thinking.
These are skills that are difficult to automate, right?
Exactly. It's what makes us human.
Right.
And the book argues that AI can actually help us get better at these skills.
That's really interesting. I'm curious how that works.
Well, imagine you have an AI tool that can analyze your emails or messages.
Okay.
It could tell you how you're coming across to other people and help you improve your communication skills.
That's pretty cool. Like having an AI coach for your social interactions.
Exactly.
So you can kind of like tailor your approach and be more effective.
Yeah, and there are AI simulations that can put you in challenging situations to help you develop critical thinking skills.
So it's like a flight simulator, but for your brain,
I like that analogy.
getting you ready for the real world.
Yeah.
This is all really exciting stuff, but I'm curious about how we measure the effectiveness of AI-powered learning.
Yeah.
I mean, traditionally, we've looked at things like, course completion rates. But this book seems to be suggesting we need to go beyond that.
You're right. The book says we need to shift from measuring just activity to measuring impact.
Interesting.
So instead of just tracking how many courses someone finishes,
Right.
we need to look at whether those courses are actually helping people improve their performance and helping companies reach their goals.
So it's about connecting learning to real results. But how does AI help with that?
Well, AI gives us the tools to measure things in a much more sophisticated way.
Okay.
We can track things like, changes in behavior, how well knowledge is being transferred, even things like how engaged people are with the learning material.
Wow.
And then we can connect all of that back to the company's key performance indicators.
So we get real data on whether the learning is actually making a difference.
That's great.
There's a really good example in the book about this logistics company that used AI to help them reduce delivery errors. They wanted their training to focus on that specific goal. And by using AI insights, they achieved a 25% reduction in errors.
That's huge.
Yeah, it shows how AI can benefit both the individual learner and the company as a whole.
It's a win-win. I like that. And this ties into another important idea in the book, lifelong learning.
Right.
We hear that phrase a lot these days, but what does it actually mean in the age of AI and L&D?
The book argues that lifelong learning is not an option anymore.
Okay.
It's essential for success in the modern workplace. And AI is key to making it happen.
Okay.
AI can help us figure out what skills we need to stay ahead, recommend personalized learning paths, and give us the tools and resources to keep learning and growing throughout our careers.
It sounds like AI can help us navigate the future of work, which feels pretty daunting at times.
I agree. It's about empowering people to take control of their own learning and development.
And it's about helping companies create a workforce that's more adaptable and resilient.
So AI is not just this futuristic concept.
No.
It's something that can have a real impact on our lives right now.
Yeah, it's happening now.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful, but I think we need to take a quick break before we dive into the specifics of how to actually implement AI in L&D.
Sounds good.
All right, so we've talked about all the cool things AI can do for L&D, but how do we actually make it happen? Where do we even begin?
Well, the book has some practical advice on getting started. And it suggests that organizations shouldn't try to do too much at once.
Okay.
Start with something small, like one area where you think AI can have a big impact, and then build on that success.
So like a pilot project. Test the waters a bit before jumping all the way in.
Exactly. Find one problem AI can help solve,
Okay.
like recommending personalized learning content or, helping people remember what they learned better.
Right.
And try out a few different AI tools for that.
And then once you've seen that it works, you can start using AI in other areas.
Right. The book also talks about dealing with people who might be hesitant about AI.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Some people are always a little wary of new technology.
Sure, especially when it comes to something like learning and development, which feels very personal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the key is to be transparent and communicate clearly.
Gotcha.
Be upfront about how you're using AI and make sure people understand that it's meant to empower them, not replace them.
So it's all about helping people learn and grow more effectively.
Right. And it's also important to highlight any early successes you have.
Show people that it's actually working.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Nothing convinces people more than seeing positive results.
makes sense. The book also mentions something about sustainable AI practices. What exactly does that mean?
It means designing your AI systems to adapt as things change,
Okay.
because the world of work is constantly evolving.
Yeah, of course.
So your AI tools need to be able to evolve too.
So it's not just about implementing AI, but about making sure that it can grow with your organization.
Exactly. You need to think about the long-term implications of using AI
Right.
and make sure the systems you build are flexible and sustainable.
That makes sense. We've covered a lot of ground today, from personalized learning to fusion skills and the importance of lifelong learning.
We have.
Are there any other key takeaways from the book that you think would be particularly valuable for our listeners?
One of the biggest takeaways for me is that we shouldn't be afraid of AI.
Right.
It's a tool that can help us create a better workplace.
A more human-centered workplace.
Exactly. And another important point is the need for data-driven decisions.
Okay.
AI can provide so much insight for L&D professionals, which helps them make better, more strategic decisions.
So it's about relying on data rather than just going with your gut.
Right. And that leads to another key takeaway, aligning L&D with the goals of the business.
Okay.
The book emphasizes that learning shouldn't just be about checking boxes. It should be about helping the company achieve its goals.
So L&D becomes a strategic partner, contributing to the overall success of the organization.
Exactly. And finally, I think the book does a great job of underscoring the critical importance of lifelong learning. In this day and age, skills can become outdated so quickly.
It's crazy how fast things are changing.
So it's essential to create a culture of continuous learning and development.
Right, where employees are always learning new things and adapting to new challenges.
Right. The book argues that AI is a powerful tool that can help companies create a more adaptable, resilient, and ultimately successful workforce.
And you know what I like about this book?
What's that?
Is that it starts with this kind of scary title, AI or Die.
Right.
But it actually presents a pretty optimistic view of how AI can change L&D for the better.
Yeah, it's definitely a positive vision.
And I think the book does a great job of making these complex ideas easy to understand and really interesting.
I agree.
Now, earlier we were talking about how AI can identify those individual skill gaps. And the book mentioned IBM's Skills Build platform, but are there other resources out there that our listeners could check out?
Oh, absolutely. There are lots of professional networking sites that offer skills assessments, and there are online learning platforms that use AI to personalize recommendations for courses.
Cool. So people can really take ownership of their own development.
Exactly. That's a big theme in the book.
Yeah.
It's not just up to companies to provide learning opportunities. Individuals need to be proactive too.
It's about being in the driver's seat of your own career.
Right.
I think that's such an important message in today's world.
Definitely.
We can't just sit back and wait for things to happen.
Right.
We need to be active and use the tools available to us to shape our own futures.
I couldn't agree more.
This book really is a call to action for both individuals and companies to embrace the potential of AI in L&D.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic exploring these ideas with you today.
Me too.
We've only just scratched the surface of this topic.
Oh yeah, there's so much more to learn.
But I hope this deep dive into AI or Die has been helpful for our listeners.
I hope so too.
And you know what? I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
The book talks a lot about the importance of fusion skills, those human skills that machines can't replicate.
Like adaptability, collaboration, emotional intelligence, critical thinking.
Exactly. So my question for our listeners is this. What are you doing to develop your fusion skills?
That's a good question.
Are you taking advantage of opportunities to collaborate, to think critically, to build your emotional intelligence?
Because those are the skills that are really going to matter as AI becomes more sophisticated.
Exactly. It's what will set us apart in the future.
It's something we all need to think about.
This book really challenges us to see AI in a new light. It's not about being afraid of robots taking our jobs. It's about seeing the potential of AI to help us learn and grow and create a better future of work.
I like that. That's a great way to put it.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI and L&D.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it informative and inspiring.
And remember, the future is what we make it.
So let's embrace the power of AI and create a future of work that's both innovative and human-centered. You know, it really feels like AI is going to change how we work and learn in some really big ways.
Yeah, definitely a game changer.
Yeah.
And this book does a great job, I think, of giving us a roadmap to navigate those changes.
We've talked a lot about the practical stuff, but I'm curious about the bigger picture. What do you think some of the broader implications of AI are for the future of work? Like, do you think it'll fundamentally change the way we think about, jobs and careers?
Well, I think we're already seeing some of those changes happening.
Yeah.
Like we're moving away from these traditional job roles that stay the same for years.
Right.
And moving towards a more fluid model where people are constantly learning new things and adapting to new situations and challenges.
So it's less about having like a set career path and more about constantly reinventing yourself.
Yeah, kind of. And AI can help us do that. It can give us the tools and resources to identify those emerging trends,
Right.
acquire new skills and stay ahead of the curve.
So AI becomes like our career co-pilot, helping us navigate the future of work.
I like that analogy. And it really emphasizes the importance of lifelong learning. It's not something you do once, then you're done.
Right.
It's a continuous process.
And AI can help us make that process more efficient, more personalized, and just more successful overall.
Exactly. It's about giving individuals the power to take control of their own careers and create their own futures.
This has been such a thought-provoking conversation.
Yeah, it has.
We've explored how AI could revolutionize L&D, talked about the importance of lifelong learning, and even touched on some of the broader implications of AI for the future of work.
And we managed to do it all without getting too technical.
We wanted to make sure it was easy for everyone to follow along.
Absolutely.
Well, before we go, I just want to thank you again for joining me on this deep dive. It's been a real pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
Likewise. It's always fun to talk about the future of learning and development, especially with someone as passionate about it as you are.
To our listeners, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into AI or die. We encourage you to pick up the book and continue exploring the fascinating world of AI and L&D. And remember, the future is what we make it. So let's embrace the power of AI and create a future of work that is both innovative and human-centered.